Камера дата нөө. Дата. Болцоо. Чи багш YouTube дээр ороод шалгалаа.
Thank you. Masterclass
Hello everyone, good morning. It's a pleasure to be back in Mongolia again. For those of you who know me, as well as for those who don't know me, my name is Tony, and I'm a pianist, currently 27 years old. I started my piano journey at the age of 5, with my mother being my first piano teacher. We started when I was still living in China. Also at the age of 5, I immigrated to Canada with my parents, and there we continued piano lessons. And then, yes, after a few years of learning with my mother, I was sent to some other teachers in Canada. And in Canada, we also have a conservatory called the Royal Conservatory of Music, and there they have a pre-college program similar to the one that they have at Juilliard. And it's only kind of like a weekend thing, and I was very fortunate enough to be able to attend that program from the age of 9, and I was at Conservatory, also studying with 2 different teachers. Yes, I was there for about 6 years, and after that I went to Juilliard College in New York for a year only, and there I studied also with an American teacher, Julian Martin. And then, yes, and then I did the Chopin competition the year after that, and I was very fortunate enough to, do well at that competition. And at the same time, I was, seeking out also some teachers privately. The main teacher being at that time. This was already over 10 years ago, actually. And then, yes, ever since then, it's been an interesting journey. I decided to attend university, and I studied economics at Harvard, which kind of took me around 4 years, and of course the pandemic, COVID happened, and that took some time away from everyone. And yes, and then since then I've been an artist in residence at a piano center in Sweden. I studied there a little bit, and also with different various professors here and there, with Gabriele Montero, with Mr. Latze, both in Moscow and in Italy, and now I am based out of Germany. I'm still a student, studying my master's degree now in Hanover with Ari Vardy. He's a wonderful, wonderful pedagogue, and one of the most amazing pedagogues that I've worked with so far. So that's kind of my journey so far, I guess. And yes, as for how to become a pianist, I guess you just, I love music, and so I think when you love something, you will try your best to make anything you want happen. These days, I know because there's this, I've been really wanting to watch, and maybe in the next days, because we were talking about it a little bit, the Michael Jackson biopic. That's something that, anyways, he is a great inspiration for me, and I think for a lot of people. Yes, and he always was so, he was such a hard worker, and so I'm very, very inspired by people like him.
яг л Masterclass нь маш их ажилтдаг. Маш үгүй хайртай байсан. Тэгээд Masterclass маш inspiration.
За богинохноор яриулсан гол шалаад явуулж байгаа тийм кортекс нөхцөөс хавахгүй юу ярьсан мартаад байгаа учраас за дараагийн сонирхож асуулт бол 15 настай Фредерик Шопений нэрээр олон улсын Польштод олон улсын төлөөлөл болтын хийн том амлалтанд одоо Шопений түүхэн дэх хамгийн залуу шалгалтын тооны одоо шалгаж байсан одоо тэр нь өөрийнх нь сийд хамгийн том байсан гэж одоо татгууч өгдөг зүйл юм. Тэгээд 15 настай Шопений урлагийн төрлийн урлаганд одоо байр шанал авах хэмжээний байсан гэхээр 5 наснаас өөрөө хийсэн гэж шүү дээ. Тэгэхээр 5 настай төлөвлөгөө уусгаад 10 жилийн хугацаанд Фредерик Шопений урлагийн авах хэмжээний дээрээс нь 5 дахь байр эзлэх хэмжээний түвшинд хүрсэн гэхээр одоо манай энэ хүүхдүүд оюутнаас сууж байгаа учраас яг энэ их үржинчид багасаа хэдэн цагаар хэрхэн яаж давтдаг вэ? Тэгээ 10 жилийн хугацаанд яаж давтахаараа Фредерик Шопений урлаганд амжилт үзүүлэх боломжтой болдог вэ гэсэн асуулт асуумаар байгаа. Тэгэхээр хоёр дахь асуулт.
To be honest, my real honest answer, if you want to know my honest answer, I don't know. Yeah, so it's very interesting actually, because to tell you the truth, I was, that year, Dr. Son had 4 students in 2015 who entered the competition. Nowadays he has, like 20 students who can enter, but that year he had 4 students who entered, and the 4 students were Eric Liu, Kate Liu, girl, also from Canada, called Annie Jo, and Annie Jo, she does not play piano anymore. And to be honest, the one he had the least expectations for was me, because I would say I love piano, and I will get to the more serious part where I didn't practice a lot, but yes, I was taken least seriously. Maybe because of the age, but also I think I had always had plans to, maybe go to university. I think we were talking about this also a few days earlier. I maybe would have loved to become an astronaut or a video game player or a developer or something like this. Something. Yes, so basically, we only really prepared for the first 2 rounds, and it was very interesting because it was only really after I played the first round of the competition that, so basically, okay, I don't even know how to explain this, but 3 months before the competition, for the 3 months, I did practice a lot. And I practiced maybe 8 to 10 hours, 12 hours every day for 3 months in a row. Yes, it was the summer, and I think that summer I made a very, very big improvement. And then in the first round of the competition, I think after I played the first round, I think a few of the jury members or something told, Anderson that, this boy is very, very good, and including Martha Arkwright. And I was like, this boy is very good. And it was only after then, and then during the competition, after I made the second round, after I made the third round, also he had heard my first 2 rounds before the competition, way back. But then after I got to the third round, he never heard my third round pieces. So after the second round results, he called me and he was like, tomorrow morning we have to meet. I have to listen to this, And the same thing for the final. So it was, I would say, really, it was kind of like the last few months where I really practiced a lot. But of course, before that, of the 10 years before that, I would say probably the first 2 years when I was studying with my mother was kind of more relaxed because also my mom did not want me to become a pianist. She wanted me to become a lawyer or a doctor or something that makes a lot of money. But then, after I got into this conservatory, because of some opportunities and whatever, I think it was from then I started to take it more seriously. But then, of course, that's still, way far away from Chopin competition. But anyways, there's just a lot of good luck and some short bursts of improvement here, here and there. Yes, anyways, so to recap it all, by the end of the competition, there's an inside joke between, Dankason and, a few of us students, and, my new nickname became Instant Noodles. Because I got ready at such a quick speed. Anyways, yes, so that's how the 10 years, but of course, I started with Professor Dankerson only in 2013, and so I was with him for about 2 years before that, but of course there are also other teachers I also have to thank, that led me to, my first 10 years, right, junior art and also, Royal Conservatory, and yeah, so. And a lot of good recordings. Yes, I did listen to a lot of recordings, and especially recordings from the 2010 Chopin competition. studied them all. Juliana, Diego, Bojano, Trifonov. Those were my 3 favorites. And Gimich. Yes, for my 4 favorites, which I studied all of their recordings from beginning to end. Yes.
Can you just
Yes. Diego and Bojano.
Бажано энэ дөрвийн өөрт нь маш их таалагдсан тийм болохоор маш маш анализ.
Yes, so that definitely also played a big role as well.
Тийм бас миний шатны тийм маш бүлэг.
За манай цаахан дараа багш нараас хүүхдүүдээс асуух асуулт байна уу? Микрофон нэртэй таач чөлөөтэй асуулт болно шүү. За асуух.
Hello.
Hello.
I've seen you before when you were judging the Chopin competition 2 years ago, in 2024. My name is Hirold Backfire. Now I'm 23 years old. Now I'm studying as a pianist at the University of Culture and Art. I'm under the control of my teacher. I've been playing piano since I was 7 years old. And 2 years ago, I saw your solo concert in Mongolian Philharmonic, and I was so inspired. And I thought I wish I would be like you one day. And now, the problem is, of course, it's when I play big piece, I run out of powers at the end. Now I'm working on Moonlight Sonata, 2nd and 3rd movement. I'm going to play in exam after 2 weeks. And yeah, one problem is, at the end, I ran out of my powers.
I see. That's a very interesting question that we can, of course, talk very, very long about. But thank you very much. You look much younger than your age, which is immediately what he remarked on. And it's nice to see you. And yes, I mean, in terms of, I guess, especially for a piece as intense as the Moonlight Sonata, especially the 3rd movement, where, I think the most effective performances really, have great intensity in every single note. I think it's so many layers, but I think one of the things that I can really say is that I guess it really is very important how you allocate your energy, and of course I think that there are sometimes different parts of our body that we can use to help us. And I don't know how you play. For example, unfortunately, I'm not, listening to you just play today. But yes, I think playing the piano is a combination of fingers, our wrists, our forearms, our upper arms, our shoulders, our lower back, and even our legs. And I think that one of the things that is so important in piano playing is also the transfer of weight. And and maybe not every note is of the same importance, or even if it is of the same importance, perhaps there are some passages which you can play with a bit more wrist, some with a bit more fingers, some with a bit more shoulders, some with a bit more, you can use your body to help, lean a certain way, or some passages you focus a bit more on the 1st and 2nd fingers, some more on the 5th finger, and so you kind of rotate a little bit. It's very difficult to say exactly what to do without being very specific on the score. But yes, I think also the different passages of the third movement especially. I think the second movement is more or less fine, right? But the third movement, you know, there's different passages, different sections, and of course different sections have different characters, and you know, it uses different parts of your muscle groups or etc. And so I think you can think a little bit about kind of, you know, using other parts of your body to help support what you want to achieve. Yes.
유리나는 이야기에
다음 시간.
직접하는 말씀하되 내고 어떤 양산의 그 그분들 내고 있었던 그게 뒤를 기다 어떤 어떤 모멘트 알고 있고 어떤 마사지 많이 것 같아 되게 꼭 마사지가 마사지가 카락ter을 약간 발에 디스크에서 좋아할 때 미디스크
You can also think about things like the angle of your wrists, you know, in relation to the keys. I think fingering is also a very, very important thing. One of the most important things that we can, you know, use to our advantage, having a very good fingering. And also, yeah, just in general, yeah, of course, for something like the Moonlight Sonata, I think, you know, to always have support in the first joint and the bridge of the hand. I think these two places, those always should be quite firm and supportive, and the rest, you know, yeah, just try to relax, I guess. No, not the first two fingers, but the fingertip, of course, and the bridge of the hand, right?
일치대.
Yes, but the wrist always relaxed. You should experiment, definitely. If something doesn't work, don't try the same thing twice if it doesn't work. When you practice, always explore. It's different for each person, and maybe what works for you doesn't work for someone else. But I think, at least in my practice, probably also because I have to do so much repertoire and so little time always, you know, if there's like a passage that doesn't work, and even I try very hard, and I try twice or three times, then I will change the fingering or I will try something else. But, you know, I think we have to work hard to have ease at playing piano, but of course that also comes from a lot of exploration and experimentation. So yeah.
아메리카도 마스터를 닮은 것 같아. 그때 왔어. 그때 붙였고. 그때 붙였다고.
자, 이것도 말이다.
Thank you so much.
우리 사람들과 호흡이 되게 되고 잘 구조됐어. техник амарсаасайтэй за өөрийнхөө сүйс техникийг юу хөгжүүлэхийн тулд багасаа би яаж юм дээр ажиллажсэн бэ? Юугаар одоо шийдэл одоо бол дэлхийн хөгжиж болсон баг өдөртөө нэг газартаа очиж автах юм шиг цаг хугацаа байхгүй. Тэгэхээр тэр хооронд шийдэл хөгжүүлээс угаад юугаар бас гараа хангаадаг вэ одоо Дараагийн одоо дасгалууд юм уу тийм эсвэл даамууд юм юу байгаа вэ түүд үзүүлээ. Дээрээс нь яг 5-аас эхлээд одоо 10 цаг хүртэх хугацаанд одоо техникээ сайжруулахын тулд яг юу ямар дасгалууд байгаа түүд эдгээр ямар аргачлалаар техникээ хөгжүүлдэг вэ?
Yes, this is a very interesting question as well. Well, when I first started playing the piano, I think, of course, there was a lot of canon was one of the big things. Also churning, and then of course scales, arpeggios with different intervals, scales with different intervals in thirds and sixths, in octave and tenths. What else was there? And then shortly after, I think there was also a lot of pieces, a lot of repertoire, and also yes, of course, etudes. Actually, with etudes, I have not played that many, to be honest, but actually just a lot of repertoire because I think every piece requires slightly different technique. And yes, I think when I was young, I was always, at least by my teachers, forced to play a new piece almost every week. So I think this was something that really helped a lot. Because sometimes maybe you might play a piece and it might not be working very well, and then you might play another piece, and that might, help open up or unlock something that you could not have maybe figured out through another piece. So kind of just using other pieces also as a tool. And yes, for me, I think that was actually the biggest thing, really just by learning many pieces. Yes.
John Baxter teach canon theory 이런 teachсэн. Тэгээ юу нэг цаашдаа явахдаа хамгийн нөлөө өгсөн их програм. Тэгээ машин асуултын машин 7 он шинжлэх хэрвээ яг техник ярих юм бол мэдээж өгсөн бол өөр техник байна. Тэгээд олон маш хэрэгтэй. Тэгээд хэрвээ нэг зөвхөн бочихгүй бол өөр зөвхөн холбоо илүү ойлгох юм уу тий олон програм дандаа болж
Баярлалаа. Ерөнхийдөө бол техник эдгээр бол презентацийн жобтыг маань ердөө одоо илэрхийлэх арга хэрэгсэл нэс үгээр одоо хамгийн чухал ганц байдаг цогц зүрх юм биш. Тэгэхээр одоо юу асуусан бэ гэхээр техникийг асуучлаа, энэ цагуудыг асуучлаа, техникийн ядууртаа бичсэн талаар бид асуучлаа. Тэгэхээр одоо бол яг хөгжүүлж хүн төлөв болж өөрийгөө бүтээхийн тулд одоо зөвхөн хөгжмөөр татгаас олон цагаар татгаас гадна хүүхдүүд яг юу хийж иж, юу сонсч, сонирхож байж, юугаар өөрсдөө хөгжүүлж байж яг жинхэнэ төгс төлбөр хөгжмийг одоо яг бүхэн зохиолчийн хэлж байгаа хэлхийдээ илүү яг том шиг сэтгэж хаж тавлах тэгээд хөгжмийг яг төгс өөр нь илэрхийлэхэд одоо хүүхдүүд маань одоо юу шаардлагатай вэ? Зөвхөн одоо хөгжмөөр сууж татгаас гадна яг л одоо оюутан сурагчид байгаа ч гэсэн агсан гүйл таван хүмүүсээс тэгээд хэлхийдээ хичээлтэйгээр нэг хамт цагны ийм юм зарцуулж байгаа учраас яг хөгжүүлж болохоор хөгжмийг бүрэн илэрхийлэхэд одоо таны хувьд жишээлбэл яг хөгжмөөр юу заавал хүүхд заавал юу суралцах гэдэг шаардлагатай гэж үздэг.
She's saying that many students just practice on the instrument, yes, but what do they need to do outside the instrument to improve themselves?
the best singer or best dancer, but I think having some sort of interaction, at least with other forms of art, will be helpful. You know, one of my goals that I would like to achieve before I turn 30 is really to learn how to play drums. And I think that really, you know, helps with rhythm, with groove, with, you know, that kind of stuff. And I think, you know, I think that's really just the beginning, right, to be at least aware of other forms of music, other forms of art, whether it be singing, dancing, percussion, super important, I think. And then of course just, you know, being very knowledgeable in terms of, I think watching movies has really helped me as well, reading books, although I don't do enough of it as I should, but I think that reading and watching films and, you know, this kind of stuff that can help open up imagination. There are often times where, you know, maybe I might listen to something that was written, you know, 200, 300 years ago, and then I picture, you know, something that I've seen in a film that really resonates with me, and this is sometimes for me a way, a really nice way to unlock, you know, something about this piece, or, you know, maybe what I want, and it gives a bit more clarity in terms of vision. And I think, just to really explore many things, I guess, within the arts, but also, you know, you can. One of the things that I really like about, you know, astronomy and, you know, about outer space is, you know, how vast it is and how much space there is, and, you know, and for me, I think the music is also about dreams and it's about hopes that have not been fulfilled yet in life, and I think that oftentimes, you know, I get that feeling when I look in the sky as well, especially at night and in the middle of nowhere where you can see the scouts and stars. I think that, you know, even things like that can really be a great inspiration, you know, sometimes when you are not, you know. And I think another part that I have also really been fascinated with recently is also sports. And I think also as pianists, it's really like a sport what we're doing. It's, but of course it's with the fine muscles. But especially in, I know, for example, people who are preparing for, you know, Olympics and swimming, at least, I think in both the American and the Chinese teams and a lot of the other teams, you know, they're often kind of recording themselves and they play it back. You know, they're recording. It's very, very slow pace, very, very slow motion, and they observe every single movement they do. And I think that that's also something that we can also maybe, you know, take sometimes from piano. Of course, I know that there's studies to do this, but anyway, I think it's all related, and I think that we can oftentimes draw a lot of inspiration from other things, just like how other people can also draw inspiration from us pianists and etc. And also composing and conducting. I think those are also two. Just, you know, you don't have to be good at it, but just to at least know kind of how it works, you know, so it definitely helps. Yes, or even other things. Actually, two other things that I've been thinking about. Actually, I think oftentimes when it's like slow stuff and a lot of legato and a lot of cantabile, I always say these days, oh, think of like something like Tai Chi or meditation or like monks. They do their thing, very, very slowly but very controlled and very smooth, very evenly. And if you want to be a bit more explosive, or if you want to do octaves and be able to do them faster and have that kind of very fast reaction kind of muscle. I think if you want to pick up like a hobby like boxing, I think that would be very, very helpful. So things like that. I have no idea, but but who knows? No, but Alexis Ohana, he was like a very, very talented martial artist, and that's how I think how he played with such. No, but actually, I think sometimes about people like Martha Argerich and this kind of stuff, her octaves, of course. There's a lot of people who think that octaves fast, but to play them with so much, force of nature like her. I don't know, because the thing with boxing, you don't have to fight anyone. You don't have to fight anyone. That's the thing. I want to make that clear. But I think the fast reaction, kind of, the fast release. Yes, that's the right word I'm looking for. The fast release. And I think that's also the thing that will make also playing piano easier in terms of technique. I think all the masters, regardless of, if it's Sokolov or Yoshida or Porto or Argerich, I think one thing that they really had in common was they were able really to release their tension immediately after they played some note, And I think that this is something that I think boxers are also really good at. They can release, they have very, very high power for a very, very specific amount of time, and they are able to release and relax immediately after. And that is something that boxing is basically is exactly that. You don't have to box a brick, you can just learn the motion of how to do it.
Tony, I have a question about from the mental side, because there was a lot about physical exercises, but being artists and stuff, there's a lot of mental into this. And I wanted to ask about how do you deal with something as serious as burnout? Because sometimes, in later stages in the pianist's life, you lose the passion to play, you lose the passion to compete, and you start to question the purpose. So to fight against this, what would you recommend, basically?
This is also a weak point for me. It's really a weak point. Yes, but because, it's very difficult to, I don't want to say that there's a sure proof way to go against this, because life is so colorful. And I think, but maybe that's also, I don't know, let me think. Burnout, I think, is very easy. And you know, and of course, you know, being a musician is so difficult, especially classical music. You know, you're playing the works of other people, and you know, you're playing pieces that have been played millions of times, and out of which there are at least, you know, thousands of good recordings and hundreds of exceptional recordings. And so, yeah, so it's very real, this question you asked. How to avoid burnout? I think the thing is that, you know, we always have to, I guess first of all, I think the most important thing is that you should be doing it for yourself, and that you should enjoy the music. But of course, sometimes, perhaps because of some exams or because of some sort of not great experiences, that relationship does dwindle or weaken sometimes. I think for me, one of the most important things that I try to always have in my life is freshness. And regardless if that's different repertoire or if you want to do some projects that are, you know, relate to music, but not exactly in a way that has been done before. So for example, something like, I think it was the first time to play the triple Conservatory in Mongolia. I think this was something that was, I think, quite exciting for all three of us, actually, and my first time playing it, of course, as well. But yeah, I think to always keep things fresh is something that's very, very important. One of the wonderful things about music, I think, is that it's so versatile as a career. And you know, you can be a teacher, you can play with a lot of different kinds of musicians, you can play as a pianist, you can play in chamber music, you can play with other pianists, you can play with you can play with a band, you can play with an orchestra, you can do solo, you can write music, you can you know, write for video games, you can write film music, you can be, you know, a performer, you can you know, write, I don't know, for music for restaurants or that kind of stuff. You know, you can just do so many different things. You can run music festivals, you can organize music competitions, you can there's a lot of different things that you can do with music, and I think that music is something that is one of those things that can be really, really interdisciplinary, and in terms of the kinds of music you do, also, you know, there's so many different kinds of varieties, and so I think that, you know, your relationship with Bach or your relationship with Mozart doesn't always have to be healthy, it doesn't always have to be good. I always say my relationship with Chopin is very much love and hate, and it really depends. There's only two composers that I always love, and that's Prokofiev and Bach. But all the other composers, it always depends. Sometimes I like them more, sometimes I like them less. Yeah, but burnout is a real question. Yeah, I don't really know, but I think just for me, variety, to change things up all the time, especially if it's, you know, not working. I think that's something that's really important. Or finding intersections, or finding other things that you can relate to. For example, you know, maybe if you know, this music is feeling quite dead, but maybe you somehow see this film, and you know, maybe this music kind of somehow it resonates with some piece that you've been working on, and it suddenly, you know, unlocks something. So I don't know. It never stop searching. I think that's the thing. Never stop searching, and don't search in the same place if it's not giving you anything. Go somewhere else. Yes. Also rest. Don't be afraid. I think you know, we always like to say music needs to breathe. So practicing can sometimes breathe as well. So sometimes I think also if you want to take some time off, you know, it's perfectly fine. And I think this is actually becoming more and more fashion these days. You know, everyone is taking like Hilary Hahn is taking, you know, like 1 year off. Maxim Van Gogh taking 1 year off. You know, Lang Lang took some time off. You know, Lang Lang, he was injured a few years ago, but his injury actually recovered very quickly. But he was still injured for a long time after. So, you know, to have some break, and I think break is super important. all of these great masters, like Horowitz took like 10 years off away from the stage. Martha Argerich put a few times, stopped playing for, also I think for her Chopin competition, she also prepared a year, but before that, for the 3 years before that, she did not touch the piano at all. And I think that really helped give longevity. Yeah, so just think long term. Life is as long as you want it to be. So.
그 이게 아
팀이
자, 찾기 보시겠습니다. За одоо нэг хоёр асуулт асуугаад тэгээд дуусгая. За энэ асуултыг асуугаасаа гэж угаасаа бүгд бодож байгаа. Энэ бол тайзны айцтай. Одоо тайзны сэтгэлзүйтэй холбоотой асуулт. За тэгээд хамгийн гол асуулт нь юу гэхээр 15 настай тийм том шахрын конкурсанд орж байгаад мэдээж одоо 12 дугаар жоохон хөвчтэй гэсэн насны хүмүүс байгаа. Сэтгэлзүйчсэн физиологиос амар савлах байдаг юм бас. Тэгээд тийм үед апхаас биш одоо 3 сарын амар хүчтэй бидээ за зөвхөн сургууль татсан байна сарын цаг асуудал. Тэгээд сэтгэл зүй гэж юм байна. Бусдаа асуудал гэж байна. Тэгэхээр одоо сэтгэл зүйгээ мөн одоо тийм тайзанд одоо раамын хаалт сэтгэл зүй хайцаа гэсэн яаж авчаасаа. Тэгээ одоо бол одоо тайзанд лайдгүй аксиг яг бол айцаа сэхийн ялгаатай бай тээ. Дээрээс нь нэг хатуугаар асуулаа гэхээр одоо дэлхийн ертөнцид одоо бидний шиг одоо яг судлалын системээр хэцүү хугацаанд бол олон зохиолч боломжгүй байх гэж боддог. Тэгэхээр одоо маргааш одоо энэ Моцартын концертыг одоо шинээр тоглохтой бол тэр их сураал болж байгаа тийм. Тэгэхээр энэ зөвхөн хэрхэн яаж тагдаг вэ? За одоо тэр чинь одоо хичнээн бараг онгоцонд явж байгаа цаг хугацаа маш их. Тэгэхээр бүгдөө буураа тэр үедээ 2 хоног 3 хоногтой нөхцөл жишээ байгаа машин зохиолуудыг бас хэрхэн яаж хийдэг вэ гэсэн асуулт. Тэгээд мишэл багшаас гэх юм болохоор тооны зогсоогоод шууд богино норм шууд чигээр явчих гэсэн үг байна.
The first question was fear of yes, and of course when you were 15, what was the psychology of you? How did you prepare for the rounds?
That's the first question. This is a very interesting question because I think maybe now I have a very, very conservative view on this actually, because back then I would always think about, maybe if I breathe or follow, if I breathe, 8 seconds in, 8 seconds out, and if I follow some rituals, if I eat a banana, if I, sleep before, if I, don't wash my hands before touching the piano, this kind of stuff. I used to believe in this a lot. But I think course I will get back then, but I think for me nowadays, the best way to combat nerves is to really just know the music inside and out. I think the thing is when you really know what you are playing and you know what fingering you are playing, if you have a plan for your piece, the here I want to portray this, here, the more detailed you are, and the more detailed you are with your with your planning, with the architecture, with your technique, with just the more kinds of memory, like you're able to have this by muscle memory, you also know it by visual memory, by oral memory, by all different kinds of memory. If you can break away the hands and if you can start the piece from the middle of the bar and the middle of the piece and the middle of the phrase, I think if you're able to do those kind of things, then I think regardless of whatever, you really know what you are doing, and so you will not be nervous. And I think this is actually, for me, the biggest realization in the past few years, because I've been playing much more in the past few years, and I realize sometimes when I'm nervous, that it's actually, I don't know the music as well as it takes for me to be comfortable. If it's and usually those are like the pieces that I'm playing for like the first few times. But usually after playing the piece in public for 5 times, 10 times, then I feel okay. Like I've already, in the first 5 or 10 times, I've messed up or I've, messed up in every possible way possible, and so I feel like I just know the piece better. So one of the things that I think that I did before the show competition, actually that my father forced me to do, which I think was very helpful in that regard, was he made me record myself playing the rounds from beginning to end every single night. And so that was basically, and usually with a camera, because of course when you play for yourself and usually when you play for a camera, you are a little more nervous, right? And so by doing that every single night, every night I messed up in a different way. And so by the time after 2-3 months, I already know exactly every single way I can mess up. So then because of that, I messed up in every single way, therefore the concert I did not mess up. And I think that's one thing that one can do if you have something very serious coming up. You should, even if you're not ready, you should just play at the end, like a summary to see how it is going, the overall progress. It's very difficult to do, and it's of course very time consuming, but I guess if you're serious enough about something, then it is something that you can do. Yes, but of course when you are, performing, I think also throughout this process, you will also discover things. I would like to say that there are, at each piece and in each performance, there are anchor points that I like to refer to. And for example, I realized after performing many times that one of the things that really calms me down is the sonority of the bass. And whenever I just hear an amazing bass, then naturally I think my body reacts to it in a way that is kind of more relaxing. Or if I really try to sing the right hand and do a little bit of pedal, but try to find some malleability or flexibility in the left right hand, and if I'm able to do it, then I feel already a little better. So there are certain things that I think once you perform a lot, it's different for each person. Or there's some people who maybe I don't know if they pay attention more to their third or second or third fingers, if they just put more weight on them, and they actively put more weight on them, that can help them feel more, grounded in the keys. But I think for everyone it's different, or maybe at the beginning, sometimes it happens to me, but sometimes, for example, my calves will be more tense at the beginning. But this helps, get through the beginning or something. But there's little quirks that you will find after enough experience that will help you, I guess, calm yourself down. And of course, before the concert, and I think the more you do this, it doesn't really get better, to be honest. The nerves will always be there, but the way that you will be able to combat them and to face them will be much easier if you were instead of trigger you, it makes you more comfortable. Yeah. Untrigger points, I don't know.
저희 있잖아요. 저쪽에서 거기서 들어가는 데 부힘이 있죠. 부힘 오는데 부 닿는데 편다. 부힘이 더한다는 줄 이게 되게 난 있었잖아. 나는 부 가라지신 더하지신 모델이신 유는 길을 as of passantry to as of often was practiced. 이게 주변에 굉장히 오는 아운 쉬운 거고 라운드들이 다양하게 오고 그래서 다양하게 가져다 다양하게 될지 더 확실히 미리 참하고 뭐 이거 맞아서 좀 샤도에 스테디움 그 아운 되게 샤드 지스니 맞습니다. 샤도에 굉장히 인식하면서 맛있는 거 배우고 있습니다.
Yes, one of the a good starting point actually, to be more specific, a good starting point I think for everyone. There's usually a certain part of the piece where you feel very comfortable, where you feel like this is my cup of tea, this is my thing, and you can work backwards from that. Usually, right, in a piece, maybe you don't like the whole piece, but there's like usually this one section where you feel like, oh, I will own this part. And if there is such a part, then you go and examine it. You analyze why do I think I, very much suit this part? Why do I like this part so much? Why does this part feel so comfortable? And try to extract the feelings that you get from that, or what exactly is happening, or maybe it's something rhythmical that you like about it, something musical that you like about it, and then you apply that what you like about that part of the piece, and what you were doing to make yourself like that part of the piece, and you apply that to the beginning. Does that make
Nic jakby 저도 미디시 마스크에 옛날에 약 필파에 쓴 에이스 쓴 내용을 거의 디마스크에 이 뒤로 다른 쪽에 있어요. 뒤로 안 하는 시대 약들 다른 쪽에 있어요.
Yeah, like I know, for example, a lot of people they don't really like just to give a specific example. A lot of people they don't really like the beginning of the Grand Polonaise of Andante Spinato, Opus 22. A lot of people they don't like the chords at the beginning, but then when they get to the lyrical section, they're like, oh, this feels so freedom and whatever. And so what I like to think for the beginning of that, also for me, when I get to the lyrical section, I feel, oh, this is so freeing. So and the piece sounds like an opera or sounds like a violin singing or whatever, and so I just try to take that feeling. So I just pretend that the beginning is also like an opera, like so lyrical, so singing, not so many notes, and just try to play it as more horizontal as possible. So I just try to, instead of playing it just like military, maybe that doesn't work for some people. So just whatever part you like, which and so you can just take that. And even if the beginning is not supposed to be like that, you can do it in that way and see where it goes.
Andante 나오고 서로들이 의료에 비슷한 어떤 식으로 마시는 그 공부에서
I don't know. you've probably noticed whenever I'm in front of a piano, I'm practicing every second, you know. And so I think that no, but a lot of it I think is about like the thinking and the intensity of work that you do. It's not so much about the number of hours you play, but the intensity of work. And so that's also what I think is so, you know, a lot of times I like to say, especially if you're playing like a concerto, for example, you've maybe done, you know, you think maybe you did 100% of the work, but actually, I think I would say that only, even if you did 100% of what you think you can do, it's probably only about 60% of what you can actually do. After the first rehearsal, that is when the real work begins. And the amount of improvement that you will make between the first rehearsal to the concert is much, much bigger than whatever time you spent on the concerto, even if it's 1 year, 1 month, 5 years, you know. And so I just try to take that kind of intensity and apply it to, just try my best to simulate, simulate that. And I think the intensity of work is super important. And I mean, I guess also after 20 years of experience, I think for me, I'm someone who, if I need to, let's say if I need 20 hours to learn this piece, for me, it's better to do this 20 hours, not, 3 days in a row, but to split it up. And I think that I really believe that there is, in learning, there's the power of marination, when you marinate. And so, I think that, so for example, usually if I have a piece that I have to play, I'll just read it very casually. And so when I really have to learn it, it's kind of hard to know what is happening. There's sometimes where you don't practice the piece for a long time, and sometimes you still remember, or it might be even already a bit better. And so, yes, recently it's been a lot. I played 4 concertos now in a little over 1 week. And so, yes, and I have to learn more pieces, very, very soon. But I guess, just really just trying to be intense with it and listening to recordings especially if you're really running out of time to get to know it by ear, And so that's also a form of memorization, right? When you have to really learn something really quickly, then you should really just listen to it all the time. Because that will help us. You will know what your ear will know what to look for. Look at the score. Think about the score when you're not at the music, when you're not at the piano. So oftentimes, I think a lot of times memorization, if I'm like, let's say like a Mozart concerto, right? I didn't really have time to look at. I played the D minor before, but I didn't have some time to look at it until after I got to Mongolia. And but then for me, to look at it on the piano, that's what I mean. But for example, before I was thinking about, do I still remember this piece? And I will try to my best to remember the exact notes, the exact fingerings, and try to visualize everything before I go on the piano, or I will look a little bit at the score. But I think, yes, just to visualize in your mind, away from the piano. I think oftentimes that's also even better practice. Of course, the technical stuff you need to secure, and that's a totally different thing. But I think you can also, really think about the music a lot away from the piano. Think about the specific notes, the architecture from macro to micro, to fingering, to articulation, to whatever you want to do, and you have that clear in your mind first before you practice.
Үлтрээр суухаас өмнө юу хийх хэрэгтэй маш сайн. Тэгээд яг үнэн дээр ажиллах хэрэгтэй. Юу тавьчих хэрэгтэй гэдгийг маш яг ханаад авсан хэрэгтэй. Тэгээд яг манаас яг хэлсэн тэгээс харах юм бол би танаас зүйлээ яг сууснаар яг ертөсөө гараа ертөсөө 제일 다른 것은 기분이 뭐라 되게 지직지직했어요. 우리 저 기회에 그거를 오케스트라 되게 컨셉을 예 지금 저는 이 그걸 오케스트라 니 있습니다. 디펜스 오늘 유치스 니 하고 그 다시랑 오케스트라 이렇게 Yes,
Yes, I think one more thing is that, especially, I think especially when running out of time, one of the things that I think that we oftentimes, everyone likes to do in practice is, they like to take through the piece, they like to feel the piece, and then, if something is unclear, maybe I'll save it for another time, but I think when you're really running out of time, then you really have to, if that trill is not clear, then you have to fix it immediately. You have to always fix everything immediately. Of course, there's virtue of also kind of meandering, a bit more time to explore, etc. But then you're really running out of time. For example, if this fingering is not feeling 100% comfortable, then I need to immediately stop it, fix it, try like 100 different fingering hand position and angles, and really just try to make a decision. Yes, I think when I have time, I like to explore. I don't like to make a plan, but I think when I really don't have much time, then I have to immediately make a plan. I have to what I mean, right?
Masterclass ингээд бидний төлөвлөмжтэй бид нар ингээд чөлөөтэй нийлхий ярьцаар асуух уулзах ийм боломжийг олгосон мишель багштай Аран цагтаа тооныгоо одоо 2 жилдээ ингээд 2 удаа Монголд их хөрөндөө урьж тоглуулаад Монгол улсыг хавуултаа ингээд хүчээр ажиллуулаад дахиад бүцгийн концерт ингээд өөрсдөө бүр төлөвлөөд нэг одоо 4 концерт сонсоод баг актив тоглуулсан бүтэн концерт өөр ингээд нэг доор сонссон маш том тоглолтсон. Тэгээд энэ бүхнийг одоо энэ нэгсээ баг төсөл гэсэн одоо яг харахад бол энэ том зүйлийг санаачлаад бий болгоод бид нар бас ингээд хүртээлтэй хүүхдүүд маань хэрэгтэй юм боломжийг олгож байгаа. Арай зайр хишээ багштай мөн цаг гаргаж уулзалт хийсэн. Сонирхолтой өөрийнхөө хүүхд замдал бас бүхээс хүүхдүүд маань багшлалтай хуваалцсан. Таны одоо дахин хаалгачтай баярлалаа.
How do you feel after playing such a capricious, devilish piece? Not bad, but not good. Oh, yeah. How long have you been working on this piece for? Oh wow, great, really great. Yes, I think this is one of the most difficult pieces by this, and I know a lot of people like to play it, but it is really, 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 really difficult. And I have many friends who don't like to play it. I have played this piece myself as well. It's I don't know, also a love-hate relationship for me. But there's a lot of things that we can kind of explore. But I think it's a great job so far, And have you performed this piece yet before? Oh, you have performed like once, twice, a few times. A lot of time. Oh wow, wonderful. Really wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, great. Okay, so we have just under an hour, right? So let's just dig into it. I think this piece is really a piece full of characters, and it really is so extreme. We have the devil, and we have the innocent, so to say. Let's start, how about with the middle section? Let's start with the middle section from Un poco meno mozo. So here, I think that this piece is so much like an opera. It's so much like an opera, and we have so many different characters. And already, when we begin here, espressivo amoroso, un poco meno mozo. We have that's one phrase, and then we. Can you make a different sound for these two characters? Let's try. Yes, and there's a rest. Please, there's a rest, and change the pedal for the different harmony. It can also be the same person as well, but it's two slightly different things. So don't play the same with the same sound. I think and then versus here where we have the hairpin, right? It's more than just louder, but I think it's a deeper sound. It's coming from somewhere darker, I think. I'll try. Yes, more dramatic this one. I think this is where the seduction. Oh, come to the good side. That's where the seduction is. That's where the flirting happens. Yes, and one thing that you can do to support your right hand is also the left hand. Maybe a different color. gradual. Try to avoid these kind of jagged, more, kind of gradual if you want to do. Not jagged, okay? Don't always stop before the beginning of each phrase. Change it up a little bit. Don't always stop before the beginning of each phrase. Sometimes you can begin the phrase and then maybe a little more rubato in the middle or something like this. Otherwise, it always sounds the same.
Яг үргэлж байнга жоохон зогсоод байгаа байхгүй тэгж хэлээд
Sounds like a hiccup somewhere happening. Let's active. I think right now you play too active. You're too more kind of, yes, more kind of, it's un poco menomoso, but I think it's more kind of like eyebrows moving, or kind of, it's very seductive. It's seductive. It's in a way that's, it's very carefully, Mephisto and Faust are very manipulative in that way. Very kind of, they seem like gentlemen. It seems like gentlemen. I'm such a good person, but inside they're a devil. But don't show already. They're not like this. But it's kind of like just showing the eyebrows. You're trying to think, this is the good way, not what you think is good. This is the good way. Join me.
Sorry? Хитрхи их нөгөө актив хөлөөтэй болохоор илүү ингээд баг хөсгөө хэлбэтэй. Хитрхи илүү хүчтэй байгаа. Тэгээд тоглох хэцүүгээр хитрхи актив болохоор бүх юм ингээд дайлцаад хэлээд. Тэгээд нөгөө Мефисто болохоор аюу тийм хүний ингэж манипуляц хүний ингэж тэнгүүд тэр чинь ингээд яг ухаан санаараа гэж бодож байгаа болчих зүгээр биеэр ингэж үзүүлээд ингээд тийм учраас тэр манипуляцийг тэр аюу хүнийг дамжин болж гадаж шүү дээ тэр санааг бас хэд бие хэлэхгүй.
You always connect these two a little bit. kind of airy, but it's a conversation. No, but I want you. No, but Presentation.
хоёр хоорондын хүмүүсийн харилцаа ярилцсан тэгээд
Yes. One side more aggressive, more forward, it's like someone is coming towards me and I'm like backing off, but they're really coming towards me, it's this kind of uncomfortability, but not, it's not an agreement. Don't make this seem like, I'm trying to convert someone who does not want to be with me, and so there's that kind of difference.
энэ хоёр хүний хоорондын харилцаа тэгээд нэг ихэвчлэн амгаа бүгд болохоор одоо жишээ бүсгэн бол нэг хинээс ингээд нэг хүн амар амгаа хатлагахаар нэг найраад яваад ч юм уу тэгэхээр яг хин үнтэй нэг хам баймааргүй үнтэй одоо хоорондоо харилцаж байгаа юм шиг тийм ялгамж ихтэй гэж хэлээд байна. More romantic. Don't play so easy. Usage хайж тоглох хэрэгтэй. Үнэн зөвлөж usage тоглох хэрэгтэй. Нөгөө юм шиг дараа. Yeah, especially I think the left hand. Well, you played the original. I think most people they like to play the Ossia. Yeah, just to make sure that the left hand. Okay. Yes, the last one I think always a little, I don't want to say it's slower, but the last one because the harmony. More time because this is same harmony, and then this one. So that almost kind of asks for a little more. It's a bit more kind of like holding on to something. So just make sure we can hear the harmony rather than all the same. Okay. Can we try? I want to go through all of the slower sections. I mean, the quote unquote slower sections first.
Can we go from poco allegretto e rubato? Can you play it softer? It's more magical, like fairy tales, like Disney, like sparkle.
If 우유리 되게 깨끗한 휴지.
Yes, and this trill is maybe this trill is like that's the little bit of humor, right? You know, it's sparkle with some humor. I could not play this piece in very. Your left hand also, this rhythm, da, ba, ba, that's a very important thing. Bum, bum, bum. And where does this rhythm come from? Same rhythm. Di, di, ba, 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 ba. The devil is trying to be this angel, but here the devil cannot hide himself. Right? That's where the devil kind of shows. Oh, that's where he, you can tell he's a little fake. He's not a good guy.
Ингээд нэг сэтгэл гэдэг гоё энжиж хахад байна. Тэгээд тэрийг өчтөр хичээж үзэж байгаа гэсэн өөрийнхөө өчтөрийн муухай юм бас байж байгаа байхгүй. Тэр нь зөв гэх тэр нь тэр гарч байгаа төрөл бас сууж.
Yes, maybe it's not about louder, but it's the articulation is perhaps more crispy. Whereas like,
트래픽 맨 오시다가 이렇게 залхтын хошноор харах хэрэгтэй гэж байна. Тэгвэл энэ яг дуудлахаас гадна илүү ялгамж харсан харах хэрэгтэй гэж байна. Яг тэр чинь амар shiny гэлцсэн илүү юм шиг. Ронгота тэр хичээлсэн юм байна. Тэрийг харах.
yes, in time. So everything else you can do rubato, but this in a tempo, very very precise. Okay, anyway, so you can think about this. Okay, you can think about this, and of course it develops, and the harmony goes a bit higher, and of course that you move more. Okay, can we try the next one? The next section, un poco meno mosso again, espressivo amor. This should not sound like piano. Again, also glitter. But here it becomes interesting because this is kind of like the last time. This is kind of like the last time that Mephisto is going to be nice. Because everything else after this will be very mean. Okay? He will show his true self. Here, left hand I would recommend more thick texture. Right hand like. So the left hand is more like this kind of texture. Whereas hand more thick, right hand, please, no accent. No. Yeah, it's very difficult. And always long phrase, in bars, eight bars. Yes, so here's, I think right hand, left hand can be much more legato. Left hand more. That's what makes this part interesting. It's the contrast between the right hand and the left hand. Okay, so right hand much more sparkle, and the left hand much more legato, more thick, more substance, more texture. Yeah. So technically, what we can do here is maybe the left. I can see your both arms are now very stiff. So now the right hand can be more kind of floating, whereas the right hand can be more Russian school. Much more wrist, much more arm. So two hands doing different things, not both. So scared, okay? Yes, and play from the thumb. Always from the thumb, okay? Don't go the other way, but always from the thumb. Same thing, right? Here, always this phrase repeats 4 times. Mi fa si mi fa la 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 so la di da di da 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 da, and then it goes higher di da 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 da, and then the last one di da di da da di. I would always say you can think of a plan. Right now, every time you play the 4 times, it sounds the same. Maybe the last time you can always do maybe a little less. Does that make sense? So that later on you can go more, even higher. In order to go higher, sometimes you have to come back a little Don't get down already. Yeah, play the third time. Continue. Don't get softer. Continue. Softer. No. The third time, can you make crescendo? Dee da dee da da dee da, and then the last one dee da dee. You always do crescendo. Dee da dee da. But sometimes can you do diminuendo? And no accent here. No like accent that sticks out. Yes, here a bit more crispy in terms of the articulation, right? We have the line. Yeah, you have to be very, very careful with this kind of stuff, right? So here we have big phrase, and here we have more crispy. So here, maybe even if you pedal maybe less pedal, more shallow. Here you can pedal more deep, and here maybe less deep. Yes, it's very, very simple. It's always 8-bar phrase, 4-bar, 4-bar. And the first 4 bars should be different than the next 4 bars, okay? And in each one of these 8-bar phrases, there's usually in a section, there's 4 bar phrases. So in total, there's 32 bars per section, right? 32 bars per section, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, they should all be a bit different. Usually the first one, and the second one, and the third one, and the fourth one. And then in between those phrases, 4 bar, 4 bar. 4 bar, 4 bar. And it's different color, different sound. So I really advise you to make a plan for these middle sections, okay? We don't have much time left, unfortunately. I do want to talk a little bit about the beginning and also the faster sections. It is imperative, it is absolutely critical that you should play this piece very, very much in time. Very in time. No rushing, no slow down. You can do some rubato, but oftentimes I find that, like, for example, this kind of stuff, this piano, very, very strict rhythm, okay? Because if it becomes